Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the December 5th, 2022 edition, talking about Week 13 of the Rams season. And RamView is brought to you by Temple City Auto Repair. If you find yourself in need of some auto issues, get yourself auto help, get yourself some John and Henry. All right, it's been a couple weeks since I've been here. I took a Thanksgiving break, and I honestly thought we were done with the Wolf, but they brought the Wolf back, and we're going to get into that a little bit today as the Rams struggled. I call it a struggle. They didn't win. They should have beat Seattle, but they didn't win. Team played hard. Cool. I think that's great. You know, that is a testament to Sean McVay. The team played hard. There's nothing to play for really except pride. And, that pride can get in the way of me injuring myself and my contract not getting renewed or getting a new contract, a second contract, a third contract. But these guys went out and played, so I give full credit. And for everyone that's off the Jalen Ramsey bandwagon, I like Jalen Ramsey. You know, he competes, right? But the team played hard, and they lost. Geno Smith looked good. He made some really great throws. He made a great throw at the end to win that game, but I like Geno Smith, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. Geno Smith beat the Rams, and then Andy Dalton beat the Rams, and Colt McCoy beat the Rams, and Geno Smith, Andy Dalton, and Colt McCoy didn't beat the Rams' offensive line. Okay, now we've talked about the offensive line, how much it stinks, but we also know the reason for that. What Colt McCoy, Andy Dalton, and Geno Smith did was they beat the Rams' defensive scheme. And so we're seeing this week after week, right? Where the Rams can't hold on to the lead, although they've got all these alpha males, all these alpha dogs on the defense. They got some talented players on defense, and they might have uncovered somebody new, but they keep getting beat. And maybe it's time we really start acknowledging the scheme. It's cooked. It's been played. It's been read, and the playbook is very clear on the Rams. And sooner or later, you got to start making adjustments. For all the adjustments that McVay can make, we wish he makes more sometimes. Raheem Morris doesn't seem to be making any adjustments. He hasn't figured out that the league has figured him out, and the modifications he did to Brandon Staley's office went off defense when he was in LA, right? So before we get into all that too, one of the things I'm really getting sick of hearing about is, Rams are suffering from a Super Bowl hangover, right? Or, now they're paying the price for all their dealings. Can I just share with you that when you talk about in the Rams context of this Rams season in 2022, Super Bowl hangover or the Bills come due, that is the low-hanging fruit of sports reporting and sports bar fandom, right? These are the people who go, the Rams, 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 and they're saying fire McVay a week after they lose to the Cowboys. They're after winning the Super Bowl, they hate Matthew Stafford and such. And then reporters, sports people. I know this. I did this for 20 years, folks. When I found out there was something I didn't know, it made me sick inside, right? If I found out a player had been in the league for 5 years and I didn't really know what college he went to, or did he play left guard or right guard, that was the kind of stuff that drove me crazy. Because I was paid to know that stuff. And when you hear these reporters and these color commentators, they're like, it's a Super Bowl hangover, or it's time to pay the price, the Bills come due. That is such low-hanging fruit. It is lazy, because when you do just a short, brief, non-in-depth analysis of the Rams last had a number one pick in 2016. That was Jared Goff, and now he's playing in Detroit. But since that time, without a number one pick, they've gone to 2 Super Bowls and been to the playoffs 4 times, right? What are you talking about in terms of the Bills come due? When was that bill going to come due? Oh, yeah, when they last had their number one pick in 2016, they won the Super Bowl for the 2021 season. So this bill coming due stuff is ridiculous, right? The injuries to the offensive line have been unprecedented. That's not hangover. That's the wheel of fortune landing wrong. There's never been, everyone's kind of gone into it now. There's never been an offensive line or a team's offensive line that has been so banged up as the Rams have been, right? Now think about this. In 2017 and 2018, the Rams offensive line was intact. They made it back to the playoffs in 2017. They went to the Super Bowl in 2018. They struggled in 2019, right? And they rebuilt it and roughly kept intact. They traded out Austin Blythe for Brian Allen, the offensive line in 2020 and 2021, right? And playoffs, went to the, beat Seattle in Seattle, went to Green Bay and won. And then this past year, Whitworth, they won a Super Bowl. Whitworth retired. But during that 2020 season and 2021 season, the only time we lost anybody was Whitworth, and he was injured, and Noteboom was terrific filling in for him, even last year as well. So this isn't the result of a hangover or bad drafting. Bad stuff happened, and it affects everything offensively, all right? That's what's happened to the Rams. You can't lay this on a Super Bowl hangover. Now, if you want to say Super Bowl curse, if you could dig that out somewhere, okay, whatever. But this isn't the result of the team not being focused. This isn't a result of the team got fat and happy, right? This is the result of just bad stuff happened. Like I said, the wheel landed. They rolled the dot, came up craps. It just bad stuff happened. And then bill came due, time to pay the price. The Rams still have a truckload of talent, and yes, they have needs, but those needs can be addressed in the second and third round of the coming draft. Okay, these things can be addressed. Your offensive line's not going to have another season like it just did. We won a Super Bowl with David Edwards at left guard, so we're going to find out about David Edwards. We don't know anything about Logan Bruss. We know Alaric Jackson is a stud, and we know we got a place for him somewhere that he can play. It's too early. They gave too big of a contract to Noteboom to say you're done with Noteboom. And Havenstein's been solid, and we'll talk more about that. But the Rams have a truckload of talent here. Maybe they need to work on schemes, but this bill coming due is kind of crazy. The biggest thing I'm worried about right now going the next year, I'm worried about Stafford, okay? Not his playing ability, but his neck. When you start messing with the neck, you got problems. So, for our benefit, Stafford needs to play. For his benefit, I'm going to say this, Matt Stafford probably should retire. He's got nothing else to prove. So if you want an idea of what the bill means coming due and time to pay the piper and all that stuff, you know what? Take your focus off of LA and transfer it to Mile High and go to Denver. How would you like to be in that situation where they've got $50 million tied up annually with Russell Wilson? I think not even starting next year, starting in 2024. Those dudes have bought the farm, right? They say, let's ride. They're going to be walking for a long time. So if you want to talk about a bill coming due. I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView. I'm getting text right here. What if you wanted the Rams signed Baker Mayfield? I'll talk about that real quick here. I'm Joe Tarosian. I am a former sports writer. I write books now. You can find them on Amazon. I've written a couple of really good high school football books. I've written some dystopian Christian novels. I am a pastor in my day job at Burbank Faith, and you could follow us here on YouTube. Follow us and like us in all these different places. And please leave your responses. It's a lot of fun. I also do the podcast. This turns into a podcast. It's on Spotify. It can be found on iHeartRadio as well. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. Yeah, the Rams lost. It was a good game, but they lost. But let's just look at the offense and the defense real quick here. Cool. It was good. How about more Tutu Atwell and Brandon Powell? How about having them on the field at the same time? How about having them play when games counted, right? According to PFF, Pro Football Focus, those two graded out as the highest offensive players for the Rams. Brandon Powell, to me, is like guacamole. There's just never enough of him. This dude, Brandon Powell, needs to be a rotational part of this offense going forward. And why he's not, unless it's due to injury, I don't know. Let Austin Trammell return kicks, But Brandon Powell is important, and he needs more playing time. And I don't know if yesterday was a game that rescued Tutu Atwell's career, but you understood why the Rams drafted Tutu Atwell when you saw how he was used yesterday, right? He probably needs to be used a little bit more. Does it save him? Does it remove the bust label? Well, we didn't put the bust label. People talked about bust label. The Rams put the bust label on him by not playing him for 5 weeks. But I definitely see the intrigue of wanting Tutu Atwell and drafting Tutu Atwell. And maybe if Wolford could get him the ball deep, it's a different outcome. Oh, I didn't want to bring that back up, right? And for the record, I really don't want to see Austin Trammell play. I really don't. Let him return kicks. I didn't like seeing Austin. He's just taking snaps from the guys that need to be out there. Atwell needs to be out there every day until he cracks a rib. Okay, let's get to the elephant in the room, and that is the Wolf. Are we done? Are we done with John Wolford? I at this point, I don't care if the Rams finish 6-11 or 3-14. At this point, I'd rather call the roll and see what we got and get a jump on the offseason, right? The Rams have already done this in some respects. Henderson and Justin Hollins put in the street, and Michael Hoyt and Kyron Williams moved into the lineup. So why are we doing this with Wolford? We know exactly what we have in Wolford. By finishing 3-14, that second-round pick that we have goes into the top 40, and the third-round pick we owned is in the 70 to 75 range, right? I'm not saying Wolford's an absolute bum. He made a couple of nice passes. But I'd like to think there in the second half that he was injured because his passes came up short big time. That last pass at the end of the game, brother, I don't know what that was. And it looked like he might have had Atwell. Forget about the first pick that he threw. That's the one where McVay, you saw him pounding his chest saying, it was my bad, right? Right. It was McVay's bad. He was asking Wolford to make a throw that Matthew Stafford makes. Wolford's not going to roll right and throw all the way back across the field. He doesn't have the gun for that, right? The one that really drove me crazy was the one where he missed Atwell when Atwell was behind the corner, and that should have been a touchdown. The other aspect of the Wolf is he holds onto the ball too long. When we get to the grades here, the Rams' offensive line and pass protection graded out pretty well. But when your quarterback is holding on to the ball so long, he's reading Leviticus back there, that's going to lead to trouble, right? John Wolford is the epitome of a clip-holding third-string quarterback, right? Not that there's anything wrong with it, but as long as he doesn't play outside of preseason, he's okay. But if he has to play outside of preseason, then no, the Wolf is done, right? And Bryce Perkins may not be ready, but here's the part that's really driving me crazy. They've kept Bryce Perkins on the 53-man roster each of the last 2 years, right? He's eaten a roster spot. They could probably go to another offensive lineman, maybe another receiver. You tell me, another running back. And this is the time to decide if Perkins has anything moving forward. That does not move the needle yesterday, whether we win or lose, but it gives us a chance to see, okay, everyone's saying Wolford played well, put some spark into the offense. Well, you asked Bryce Perkins to make his first start in Arrowhead Stadium against the Kansas City Chiefs with Chris Jones beating down on him. That's where you asked Bryce Perkins to make his first start. The Wolf got his start at home against Seattle against a defense that isn't very good. That's not the Legion of Boom. Why wouldn't you start Perkins there? I just don't get it. And it's time to decide if Perkins has anything moving forward, or maybe Perkins, along with Wolford, need to be jettisoned. Maybe they need to take a look at Baker Mayfield. And I'll answer the question. If Baker Mayfield is willing to come and make pedestrian money and not make any waves, because we know if Stafford comes back, he's going to go down again next year. We're at the end of his run. Then, bring in Baker Mayfield. That's if you don't believe in Bryce Perkins. And maybe you don't. But Wolf is definitely not the answer. The conspiracy side of me says that Sunday was a gift to Wolford, that I like to think McVay told him, hey, man, dude, you're not coming back. So we're going to give you this start to show the league what you have. And maybe someone might, want you. If it's anything beyond this, if they actually, if Wolford appears on the Ram roster next year, and honestly, outside of some injury to Perkins, and even so, Wolford's hurt right now, I don't want to see Wolford play again. I really don't. It causes me to question the McSnead vision for this franchise. Really, you can't trot that guy back out there. You just can't. You can't do it. He's a USFL quarterback who's going to be your third guy, right? They should have kept Luis Perez. I'm sorry. A little upset there. I don't want to see the Wolf. Okay. And looking at the offensive line, miracle. No one went out with a season-ending injury. Rob Havenstein had another solid outing. He continues to do what you expect a right tackle should do, right? He plays well. And according to PFF, when you look at the pass protection grades, Brian Allen, Matt Skura, Coleman Shelton, and Neski all graded out well in pass protection. In fact, you didn't need the grades to see that. You could see that for the most part, they weren't perfect, but for the most part, they were, commendable. They were average, okay? A little bit above average maybe. But Wolford holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't make quick decisions, and so that's what put them in jeopardy, right? The run blocking for the offensive line was average to poor, but there were no Bobby Evans grades, right? Usually when you're looking at a Bobby Evans grade, they're scoring in the single digits, and no one scored that. Everyone was above 50, but that's still not very good. We could finish the season with this offensive line. Let's finish the season with this offensive line and find out, maybe we can get something out of Neski going in next year. Skura, I don't think so. Give Coleman Shelton some more, playing time, and we'll go from there. All right. And Logan Brust comes back. Joseph Noteboom comes back. Alaric Jackson comes back. And the guy I still want to see play, Tremaine Ankrum, comes back. So we'll see. Tyler Higbee, nice blocker, but vaya con Dios. He's not consistent enough, and he might be at the end of his run. He's a contact player, right? He's done a lot of blocking. He's taken a lot of hits. He's 7 years into his career. Vaya con Dios. Thank you. You're a nice blocker. Rams have to do better at tight end in this league. They just have to do better at tight end, right? That's it. You got to do better. There's better players out there than Tyler Higbee. Cam Akers played well, and it's too bad it took all the injuries for McVay to commit to the run, not asking all those guys on the offensive line to drop back in pass protection. Like I've said, pass protection is like a ballet, and run blocking is just more about paving the road. It's a little bit more about the will than the skill. It's about just having the attitude that we're just going to push them. We're going to move this object. And that's a great thing about football is that you can win that way. Basketball, if you're outclassed talent wise, chances are you're not going to win. Football, you can find a way. And it's not asking guys to do what they can't do best, but asking something they can do competently. And what they can do competently is maybe move the pile. And we saw that. Akers had some nice runs. We saw some other runs, right? They incorporated Powell. They incorporated Atwell. That was really, really good stuff, and they need to keep doing that. In regards to the defense has to be changed. We talked about that at the top. The defense has to be changed, and if not changed, at least significantly modified. They just don't get off the field, right? I mean, I used to get excited when I see 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 9. Now I just prepare myself for the open receiver at the sticks who's going to catch the pass for a 15-yard gain because we're starting 10 yards downfield. It's just too soft. You look at the play of Darian Kendrick, Jalen Ramsey, and some of these other players, even Bobby Wagner, of course, was fantastic. It goes without saying that he was fantastic yesterday. Been fantastic all season. But this is a defense made of alpha dogs, right? They're being asked to do what's not natural to them, right? And these are dogs that want to get off the porch, get unleashed, and go sick the enemy. But this defensive scheme is requiring the defense to stay on the porch and just bark. And you can see they're getting lost. And you know what? That means you're going to occasionally give up a big play, but you're going to have to make these decisions because, one, you're not giving your pass rush any time to get to the quarterback. We've talked about this. And they're a quarterback with any sensibility, Geno Smith sensibility, and Dalton sensibility, Colt McCoy sensibility. They're going to make that first read and go bang and get that 8 yards, 9 yards on every play that's being given to them, and sometimes more. These corners and these defensive backs are getting lost in that zone coverage because it's not their best skill. They need to be unleashed. Darian Kendrick, I'll talk about Darian Kendrick, but these guys are a lot tougher than you think. And I love Jalen Ramsey's barking. To me, with the money Jalen Ramsey is making, the ring on his finger, This guy doesn't quit. And I'd think twice before dealing him for a draft pick, right? Let's get into this defense here. As I said, Via con Dios to Tyler Higbee. I'm saying the same thing. Taylor Rapp, David Long Jr., adios, go. Long's out this week with a groin injury, but I'm done. I've seen enough, especially in this scheme. I just don't want to see it. Taylor Rapp, thank you. No, goodbye. The exciting part here that we've uncovered with Terrell Lewis's constant health issues and Justin Hollins being put in the street is the Rams may have found something in Michael Hoyt, right? We talked about this back going into the Chiefs game, that there's a possibility here that you're going to see him get more snaps. And he did. He's played really well the last couple of weeks. His snap counts have gone up, graded out really well. And he's been far more effective in just 2 games with significant playing time than Terrell Lewis and Justin Hollins have been all season. So it's interesting. He's an Ivy League guy, undrafted free agent. What is he, about 6'5", 310? I want to see what this guy can do. He graded out exceptionally well in the pass rush against the run. Had a couple moments where he gave it the edge, but he's even showing more life than Leonard Floyd. And I want to see that if Hoyt can keep on track, that maybe he draws a little more attention and frees up Floyd a little bit more. So that'll be interesting to see. We do like Michael Hoyt. Bobby Brown III, you see why the Rams drafted him, and it looked like it was curtains for a while, and then he got the PED suspension. But if he can stay sorted out, Bobby Brown, he's more than 3 spins. He will be the reason Ashawn Robinson, Greg Gaines, one or the other or both are moved next year. They won't be back because Bobby Brown shows he fills space, and it'll be interesting to see how he develops going forward. But he's looked good. Marquise Copeland, I like him. He grades out well, but believe it or not, at 287 pounds, Marquise Copeland just seems a little light, right? He just seems a little light. Looking in the secondary, we're done with David Long, and Robert Rochelle has gone the Terrell Burgess route. I don't know what it is. We just don't see Robert Rochelle getting any snaps, and he was starting games last year and getting looks, and until he got hurt, he was playing. He was playing well, but we haven't seen Robert Rochelle. But apparently, Darian Kendrick and Jacoby Durant are out there. I love Kendrick. Kendrick is a rookie. That's the thing. Everyone's bagging on Darian Kendrick where he gets beat here and there. Kendrick and Durant are both rookies, but what we see in them is that dog, right? We see that fight that's in them, and they're probably not suited well to be these zone corners that have to play soft. Everyone has to learn it. I get it. But is that their best skill? Is that their best bet? And they need to be unleashed. They need to be allowed to compete. They need to be allowed to stay with the receiver and see if they can buy that pass rush an extra second to get to the quarterback, right? Then we get to Jalen Ramsey. And this is what I'm going to say about Jalen Ramsey. It's easy to say get rid of Jalen Ramsey. I don't know what you get for him. You probably get something because of his contract and everything. He's still a good player. But you notice the guy doesn't quit. He talks a lot of trash, right? But he doesn't quit, right? And the illegal contact call on him with 2 minutes to play, that was a joke, right? The Metcalf touchdown at the end, Geno Smith made a great throw. I don't put any of that on Ramsey. But one thing I'd like to think about Ramsey, though, is that I'd like to see Ramsey move to safety. I'd like to see him move to a free safety and let him roam and let the 2 kid corners, Kendrick and Kobe Durant, develop. Troy Hill's gone. David Long's probably not going to be back. And move Ramsey to safety. Let's move Ramsey to safety and give him that ability to move, because we know he can rush the quarterback. We know he's still good in coverage. We know he's willing to tackle. He still has his legs. Let's move him to safety. And then at key moments, we can match him up at different times. And because we do have Kendrick and Durant, and they've showed flashes this year. In regards to the other safety spot, Taylor Rapp is gone. I wouldn't mind seeing Nick Scott back, but the Rams never give a second contract to a safety. They just don't, right? I wouldn't be upset if Nick Scott comes. I'd be upset if Taylor Rapp came back, but I wouldn't be upset if Nick Scott came back. But I just don't see it. There's no history there of the Rams giving a second contract to the safety. Russ Yeast is getting more playing time, played about 15, 13 snaps yesterday. I didn't like the flag he got. I don't blame him. The guy dropped the ball. He's breaking up the play. I thought that was a garbage call and everything. But I like Russ Yeast's attitude too. He's aggressive, and you see these DBs the Rams drafted. We haven't seen much of Quentin Lake, but Kendrick, Durant, and Yeast, we're seeing this physicality to them, and I think they're going to be hindered if they're playing this soft shell, bend don't break, this perpetual prevent that we're always in. And it's also, again, as I say, this perpetual prevent that has allowed Geno Smith, Andy Dalton, and Colt McCoy to beat the Rams. Let's get back 3 wins right there. Instead of 3-9 right now, we're 6-6, and maybe, possibly, potentially in some discussion about playoffs. I'm going to throw it out there. All right. Real quick here before we wrap it up. Happy birthday to former Rams safety Bill Simpson. Rams took him out of Michigan State, second round, I think in 74. And he had 5 great years in the Rams. Tore up his knee, came back after the 79 season, didn't play with the Rams in 79, came back with the Bills in 80 for Chuck Knox, had a couple of good years in Buffalo before retiring. So happy birthday to Bill Simpson. And George Farmer, not that George Farmer for USC and not the George Farmer way back in the day that played for the Bears, but George Farmer out of Southern University was a wide receiver for the Rams during those difficult years from 80 to about 84. And 84 wasn't, 83 and 84 weren't difficult years. We went to the playoffs, but 81 and 82. And he became a good target for Ferragamo in those days. Short receiver, had some nice plays for the Rams, scored about 7 touchdowns. He's 64 today, so we want to wish him a happy birthday. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. Wow, that happened, right? Lamar Jackson got hurt. Lamar Jackson got hurt in the pocket. He wasn't running, but he got hurt, and LJ should have taken the contract. But I think it would be foolish to give him guaranteed money. I just think it would be going forward. I like Tyler Huntley, though, as the backup for Baltimore. I do like Lamar Jackson, though. Jimmy G got hurt. I just can't believe that. Wow, 49er fans. And thankfully, the U.S. World Cup run is over. I was amazed at how many people were constantly saying, like, oh, man, what a great showing by the U.S. in the World Cup. They had 1 win against Iran, 1 loss, Netherlands, 2 ties. They scored 3 goals and gave up 4. To sum it all up, boring, okay? Boring, okay? And then, oh, cool. I got this one thing came in with Joe. What do you think about the shoes? All the athletes pushing all the different shoes, the personalized, the cleats and everything. I don't care. They can wear their shoes any way they want because I think it's kind of virtue signaling. I don't think it means anything. Who sees shoes on the field, right? The players see the shoes. Can you read, what's on someone's shoe from television or when you're in the stands? You're going to focus your binoculars in on them? I don't care. But I do enjoy answering that question. I just think it's virtue signaling. Look how much I care. I'm going to wear a shoe with your name on it. Okay, whatever, right? And again, Ram fans, cheer up. Cheer up. Things could be far worse. You know why? You could be a Bronco fan. All right, I'm Joe Tarosian. Thanks for letting me talk to you about Ram football for a while. I hope to be doing this more. It is a lot of fun for me. And I just thank you for your feedback. God bless, take care, and we will see you soon.